Hey, welcome to Sky Dad Astrophotography. Today, I'm going to look at the dual band filter from Vaonis. I first bought the filter a while back, and it's no cheap proposition. It's like $400. But I didn't know how to process images at the time, and I thought I was taking pictures of nebulas, and I was a really brand new beginner, and I didn't know. I was trying to get these nebulas and I couldn't get anything to come out. It was these just kind of dark images of big nebulas like the North American Nebula. Maybe I think was I was trying to shoot. What was it at the time? The Pelican Nebula, I think. And I thought I'll get this dual band filter and I'll have these magical images come out of the scope. So I got the filter and I put it on, and I didn't get the results that I wanted because first of all I didn't know what I was doing, and second of all, I didn't realize what the filter was actually doing for me and how to use it correctly. That being said, fast forward, 6 months, I actually stopped using the filter and put it in a box, $400 box. And then I was reading an article recently, and it said that not only will the filter, diminish the presence of the stars, but it will also accentuate the highlights of the different regions of the nebula. And we can get into the specifics of why it does that later. But what I wanted to do today is to show two images I took about 4 or 5 days apart. Similar conditions, same telescope, the Vespera 2, and I shot the first one without the dual band filter. Here it is on the left. These are directly stacked images coming off the telescope, off the V2. And so these are the two images that came back. They actually, if you look, it doesn't say up here, but they're approximately the same amount of exposure. I'd say I had actually a little less exposure time on the one without the filter. I would just very little, negligible, a few, maybe 50, 60 frames, I think. But it was negligible in terms of that. So they should be pretty similar images, and it kind of has given us a good idea. So right away, you can tell that the stars, even this image here on the right, on my right, was exposed for longer. It's still, the filter has dramatically taken down the presence of the stars, which obviously allows you to see the nebula a lot better right out of the box. To give you an idea right there. So both of these are again unprocessed images, and I'm kind of looking at them closely here. That's why I'm quiet, just kind of seeing this one turned a little bit. Not quite 100% lined up, but they are in the right. Everything else is right, just a little bit of rotation. So, right out of the box, if on this particular object, I think we're getting better results for what we're trying to shoot. Now, that being said, now that I know how to process images a little better, I'm by no means any expert. I want to see if I can get the same results without using a $400 filter in the end image. Now, I processed this guy yesterday, and I didn't record that. I was really interested in seeing what I could do with it, so I wanted to get into it right away. But what I am going to do is record today. So what we're going to try today is to see if I can, just through PixInsight, make this image with a dual band filter and some plugins that I use to to make it worthwhile, you know, if it's worthwhile, or if I should just shoot everything without the filter. Because shooting with the filter is, you know, if you're going to take your image right out of the out of the scope, it does give you a better image on this nebula, in this planetary nebula. And I'll try some other nebulas in the future. And I have seen that the stars decrease, so it allows you to see the nebula a little bit better. But that being said, with all the tools at our disposal to do post-processing, I'm curious as to see if, because putting the filter on, let's say you're in an observation over the evening and you wanted to shoot 2 galaxies and then a planetary nebula. Well, you wouldn't want to have this, the filter on for the galaxies, but then you would want to have to go out and put it on for the nebula. And let's say you're doing like a Plan My Night, which is the auto feature where you set up your things. Well, it'd be impossible unless you set your alarm in the middle of the night to get up and change the filter out. And even then, I'm not 100%. I haven't looked up if you want to hot change those filters and the kind of results you get without reinitializing the scope and then starting from scratch. So that being said, I want to see if I can get similar results with an image that has no filter as one that has the filter on it. So let's get started. Here's the image that came out of the scope. This is the JPEG stacked by Vespera, the telescope, and it does a good job doing that. And I didn't save individual FITS files, so I'm glad that it stacked it. I actually, during the observation, I was present, so I wasn't concerned about it running into trees or anything like that. So we are going to, I'll go ahead and open up the image. Now here is the raw TIFF that was stacked. Actually, no, I did save FITS on this particular one, which we'll come to in a second. It was one of my first ones that I just got the new V2, and I went ahead and saved the FITS. But what I didn't realize, and this is a totally off subject, but it's irked me, is that while the disk space changed from V1 to V2, it was larger. So did the file size. So I think I ran this one observation and I almost ran out of space. It was like 11 gigabytes just for the FITS files being saved in this particular observation. Okay, I've said enough there. We're going to open up this image. All right. So here we are, and this is typical. You're not going to see anything in your image when you open up the stacked TIFF from the telescope. It's going to look, all the image data, it's unstretched, and so you can barely see a few little stars in there, and certainly none of the nebula itself. So the first thing you do in PixInsight is you go to an auto stretch. It's a non-destructive stretch that just kind of shows you what you're working with. The first one there kind of gives you an overview, and you can actually double down on it, which I'll do. I usually do in the beginning, because the first exercise that we're going to do is cropping. And if you take the stretch up to its maximum, now there's nothing destructive. You can always turn that stretch off with these other buttons here. Sorry, my doorbell rang. Hold on. All right, anyway, so we're back, and we're looking at this. So my first operation I like to do is a crop, and when you do the double down on the nuclear option here on the stretch, you can start to see why we need to crop up here in the corner. See these, what they call stacking artifacts, all kinds of weird stuff, and you don't want to, like, our focus in this instance is really right here in the center, and some of these pretty stars would be nice in the image, but you know, there's no reason to have the computer processing things like this over here and trying to figure out all that noise from the stacking. So you're going to want to crop it. And depending on how severe the crop is going to be, you're going to want to, you might even have to solve the image first. But this crop isn't going to be too serious, I don't think. For one, I think we can get rid of, see, this gradient around the edge, that's normal. But we don't want to have to process it either if not necessary. I mean, it'd be nice to get some of that star there in particular. But, you know, I mean, it's a cost-benefit analysis. So if you've got to, like, really work on your processing to deal with it, then it's better just to take it out. I mean, ideally, you could just go from there, you know, do a crop like that. So I'm going to do kind of a heavy crop on this because I think it's going to solve no matter what. It's a good image. It's not it's not a mosaic. So let's go to all processes and then dynamic crop. Once in dynamic crop, you're actually, as long as it's active, you can then just draw a square around the area you want to crop. There's a nice little thing in the middle, kind of show you where the center is. I kind of thought this little area looked cool down here, so I'm gonna just try to keep that in. I don't know. Let's just go heavy-handed. All right, I'm satisfied that we're pretty much inside the realms. I'm gonna keep that cool star and like these little stars down here. There's some nice stars in there. I mean, I'm losing a lot of data, but I mean, really, the focus is it's supposed to be this planetary nebula. So let's go ahead and do that, and hopefully this will still solve. So I'm gonna hit execute. I'm gonna close this up because I get weird results. Sometimes it thinks it's still active, and I don't know. There's probably something I could be doing better with dynamic crop. It did what I needed to do right now, which is crop the image. All right, the second thing, let's see if we can't solve this image. And the reason why is because we're going to use a process called SPCC, Spectral Photo Color Calibration. It's supposed to give you colors that are translated from your sensor on your camera to more what you would see coming out of the Hubble telescope. So it also has the effect of doing what's called background neutralization, which is to take all this variation in the background and neutralize it, effectively taking the gradient out. So we're going to go ahead and reset that. We'll go with the regular. I'm still seeing that, you know, I could really push in tighter, but let's give ourselves a challenge and a nice image. And also I didn't do that on the other one when I processed it, so I probably had a similar crop to this. So what we're going to do now that we've run our crop, we're going to go up to, we need to solve this image. Here's a tip and trick that I learned. So this has no astronomical information whatsoever in this stack TIFF. It's just an image. I don't even know what the properties are, but they certainly don't have any kind of location in space. So we need to solve the image, and PixInsight can do that for you. And go up to Script, Image Analysis, and Image Solver. Now, here's where the tip and trick comes in. There's no information in there. I know when I shot this, and I know where it was. We could search it up. I have those things saved and written down, and whether or not they are, but they're not attached to this image, so I'd have to manually enter all these things if I wanted to. And there's not that many to do, but here's the trick. This thing is going to bother me. I'm going to hit to cancel. So the trick is we're going to go, I happen to save fits. It only works if you save fits files on this. And I think I can open one of the fits files. And I'll pick one that was near the end of the observation, like 722. Now let's nuclearify that. So that's a FITS file. It looks like it was starting to get a little cloudy, these wisps that are coming through. So this is one image out of it, but what the FITS file does is have a header and it tells you all about the image. So if we go now to process all processes, FITS header, and we select this view, I want to say it's this image 722. And now look at all that. So for instance, if you select this image over here, there's nothing there. So I was just making sure I'm working on the right one, but I can tell because look at all those stars. All right, so let's go to the image. Now we have all this. If we take this little corner flag here and we drag this onto our image, this now has FITS header information. So if we switch this over to that file, boom, look at that. It now my TIFF file, which had no information, has all the information. We've got, you know, when it was taken, total exposure time, what the temperature was, focal length, instrument, the bear pattern, all these things that you wouldn't necessarily know, especially if you're new to your telescope. They're all right in there. So cool. So we can close this now, and we can actually just close the FITS file because all this is hiding in here. Now, if we go up to script, image analysis, image solver, boom! Oh man, we're all populated. Right? It told me when it was taken, exactly, where it was in space, all that good stuff. So let's hit OK and see what happens. Now it's going to go through this process of looking at the stars and going through the catalog, the Gaia catalog that's online, and matching them up against that. And yeah, it's going to solve our image, find it in space. We're almost there. All right, convergence after 3 iterations. Seen higher scores. So, boom, tells you where it is. Now, everybody, this image is solved. Everything knows where it is. Now let's throw off that for a second and go to process all processes, spectrophotometric color calibration. Say that 10 times fast. So we're going to pull that open. Now, I sometimes go through and just change these to the generics. Let's try it just the way it is today. I'm going to try it without making any changes, and we'll see what happens. We're going to go hit this and just drag it on. So you always take, if you want to apply in most cases, I think you could hit apply. I don't know. You might not be able to. But I know that you can take this flag and drag it right on top. And it's going to go through and it's going to make some adjustments and calibrate our colors. I don't know why there are 2 of those open. So now, wow, I can already tell that star's blue. And that one's blue. They weren't blue before, I don't think. So let's go ahead and hit the auto stretch. Bam! Whoa! Our image is markedly better already. You know, a lot of times what I do to show the difference in what changed is I should have copied it first. Let's try that again. Let's undo fix it, or no, we want that redo. Okay, let's okay, we're back to normal. My bad. So this is what it looked like prior. To SPCC. Let's go ahead and close this guy up just so it's not confusing. And I'm going to put them way up here so I know where you are for later. Put this over here, our tools that we do use. So yeah, look. So we had this weird kind of greenish hue. That's all been neutralized. It didn't do a superb neutralization here. I'm still seeing a pretty heavy duty gradient going around, right around the edge there. It kind of tracks with that. So, you know, the next thing we could do, which I didn't have to do this with the other image for whatever reason, because I remember that specifically, I only had to do SPCC. So it did enough on the background that I didn't run an external thing. But let's try running a what's called GrackSpurt. And I think there's lots of different ways to remove backgrounds. GrackSpurt's free. You got to download the software, and then you can you install it, and then you tell PixInsight to kind of point to it. And then once you do everything correctly, and there's lots of tutorials on how to install and manage repositories in PixInsight. It's beyond the scope of this, but once you get it in here, it should come in and be under Toolbox GrackSpurt if you've installed it correctly. And just Google up GrackSpurt. You'll find it. So let's go ahead and open that. I'm gonna keep the original. I like to show the background model to see what's being taken out. And let's go ahead and drop that. Oops. Okay, good. It dropped it on. I want to make sure it didn't drop it on the wrong file. So that's going to take a second. I'm going to go ahead and pause, and I'll be right back. Actually, man, it's done. I didn't even have to pause. Okay, cool. It did what I wanted it to do. It's going to have taken that out. Look at that. Amazing. Now let's zoom in here just to make sure we didn't lose any nebula. And I mean, I got to tell you, I don't see a ton. Let's really jack it up. Oh, he did a really hell of a job there. I see there's something going on. There's something that got kind of pulled right around there. But man, it was like one click. So, and our background is gone. Now look at the difference between these two images. Amazing. Just amazing. You could almost stop there. Well, you couldn't stop there. We're not stretched yet because this image is still would look like this. Oop, we both were. It's not stretched. Well, let's go ahead and put our ST stretch screen transfer functions, what that stands for, and we will the next step. So we want to stretch the stars and the objects separately, and to do that, there's some built-in stuff. I think it's called StarNet. However, I'm a huge proponent of the RC Astro toolbox, and that's what we're going to use today. So we are going to take away the stars using RC Astro's Star Exterminator. You can go online and find that as well. RC Astros. I'll put a link in this somehow. So a lot of people, what they would say, and I didn't do this before because I had really good stars with the filter. If you remember, there was went full screen on me. Love it. Now how do I get to the top to get? Oh man. So you get stuck like this because I can't, if you can see over here, I don't know, I can't get up. Oh, I can't get up. So it's hiding up there somewhere. If you get that problem, always go up to Window, Cascade Windows, and then you can do the thing. So if you're, what I wanted to show you is that these stars were already smaller and pointed, and so they were very round, and so I didn't run BlurXterminator on it first. I might try that on this one. Let's go ahead and minimize this again. And let's go ahead and again, I'm going to minimize this. And really, at this point, we can minimize this. I'm going to clone this again. And first of all, I'm going to change the name of this from clone to SPCC. Okay. And actually, we did the gradient removal too. Now, I'm going to clone that so I have this to go back to in case I goof up, which happens often. And we are going to go in here and we'll go to, actually, I'm going to call this BlurX instead of clone. And I'm sorry, to clone, you click on this flag here, drag it over, that clones it. And to rename, double click on it and it'll pop up. You can't have any spaces, and there's probably some characters you can't have, so use underscores if it tells you that you can't rename. Hit OK, and it's renamed now. And let's go up to Process, All Processes, and once you install these tools, they'll be here, located in your All Processes, and find BlurXterminator. BlurXterminator it's going to go in, and I liken it to just like taking like your camera focus and just tweaking it just a little bit. If the settings on all these plugins, a lot of them are sticky. So a good rule of thumb is to come in, unless you want to keep the settings from the last image that you did, hit this reset button in the corner. And so that's kind of like where these plugins try to make themselves as simple as used as possible. And so a lot of times, not all the time, but most of the time, they're going to have like values in these areas that are kind of ubiquitous through working a large amount of imagery. So starting with the defaults is a pretty good place to start especially when you're learning about the tools. So remember the reset button. So now what we're going to do is we're going to, in order to see the results of BlurXterminator, we're going to have to do a preview image. So real-time preview button is right here. It's this little circle. Once you click that, it'll start thinking about it. It's going to hang. BlurXterminator is pretty computational savvy. And so it's going to slow you down a little bit. While you're waiting for it, this little guy up here that's spinning around is showing you that your computer's not hanging, it's thinking, and it's going to process the BlurXterminator on this frame, and then we can go ahead and make adjustments if necessary. So we'll just take a second and wait. And there we are. Hoo-ha. Man, I love my telescopes. All right, we're sharpening both the stellar and the non-stellar. Now, stellar being stars and non-stellar being nebulas. The nebula. So at the default values here, which is doing both the star halos and that, you could do that. I mean, it's actually giving really good results just doing it to the whole image. And I might consider keeping that. But let's, for the sake of argument, we know the stars look good. One way to kind of double check what's happening is you can go up here and click this little guy here, which turns the preview on and off. once it's computed. So BlurX, no BlurX, BlurX, no BlurX, BlurX, no BlurX, BlurX. I do think it's going to make Star Exterminator's job easier on this particular image because of all the stars, as opposed to the filtered image, which I didn't use it at this point. One thing you consider though, because I'm going to really want to maybe run that BlurXterminator again, really focused on the nebula itself. So let's take this to 0 and not sharpen the non-stellar at this time, and just focus on sharpening the stars. And so it is at it's thinking. You can see the little circle going around. And one more thing to tell you about the while we're waiting for that to kind of update. The way that if you wanted to get in close on this nebula, unlike other photos, when you bring them in, you use the mouse wheel to zoom. The zoom functionality in here is done by using this the square button here. All right, we're all good. So now to see what had happened, we can click off here and on, off, on. Oh, see, it's just it's just amazing. Tool is amazing. Tool is amazing. Tool is amazing. Tool is amazing. I mean, look, it sees this big star, and then now you can see that little star behind it, where it was just totally blown out before. It's amazing. All right, can't say enough good things about the RC Astro people and their tools. So I'm liking it. I think it's good. What you're going to want to do now, important step, is, and I sometimes fail to do this, turn off, before you apply this, turn off your real-time preview. Because if you don't, even after it applies it, it's going to come back and then reapply it to your real-time preview. And as you saw, we had to wait a few seconds for that to happen. So if you don't want to have to wait for it when it comes back, because your computer's basically locked up, turn this off. And we could close that if we wanted, but yeah, we'll go ahead and close it. Now, no, it hasn't been applied yet. Now drag the flag and drop it right on top. And that's going to take a second, so I'll come back and catch you in a minute. All right, we're back, and we have our BlurXterminator applied, and the stars are smaller and hopefully a little more manageable for our next operation, which is going to be Star Exterminator, where we're going to pull the stars away from the nebula so that we can process them separately. And so what we're going to do now is we'll go up to, and I'm going to actually, I'll do another dupe. I'll minimize this. And we'll call this, double click, call it Star Exterminator, Star X. Just keeping track of what I've done, what I haven't done. It's like a little trick I do. And now what we'll do is go up to Processes, All Processes, and then Star Exterminator. Pow. And you can just keep this normal. Don't unscreen unless you're using a stretched image that's from what I understand. So this is a linear image. No, it's linear, I guess they call it. It's non-stretched. Because again, if we go up here, it's never been stretched. So we'll apply that auto stretch again, and then let's go ahead and, well, we can take it off and just drag this flag on top of our image. And then I'll take another little pause. All right, we're back. Hey, Star Exterminator done its job. Let's see, I don't know actually. It seems as though it's done its job. So we have these two images. They're both still linear images, and they have not been stretched. So let's put the STF, which always looks so weird after you do Star Exterminator. This looks terrible, but it won't. It'll be fine. I don't know why that is. Maybe I'll Google that. But anyway, if we go to this one, this should look pretty normal when we go ahead and put our STF on it. Excellent. So for right now, we'll minimize these, our stars. Actually, oh man, there we go. I'm gonna, oh yeah, it's called stars. It did it already. Good. So I'll minimize that. All right, we got just our nebula by itself. You know what, honestly, I mean, I just processed the other one yesterday, so I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, it kind of, in a way, looks a little, I mean, I don't know. We'll see what we get. I want to say it's almost even cleaner than what I was working with yesterday. Like, it's less uniform. It's definitely less uniform. Yeah. Sorry, doing a little thinking about what we're going to do next. Next, we got to stretch the image. We got to get rid of the noise. We got to stretch the image. We got to get rid of the noise. And good thing that we have those RC Astro tools, because they will come in handy on the noise part. And yeah. So let's get started. I'm going to use what's called a generalized hyperbolic stretch, GHS. Don't know exactly what that means. Sorry, okay, sorry about that. Let's start again. So next thing we got to do is stretch this nebula part of the image. And we're going to use what's called generalized hyperbolic stretch. Why it's called that, there's probably a reason. I'm sure there's a reason. I don't know it. But I know it works. So let's turn off our auto stretch. And let's go into processes, intensity transformations, and generalized hyperbolic stretch. You know what? Before I do that, I'm going to do this thing again. I'm going to clone this. We'll minimize this. And I'm going to call this one GHS. Because I'm going to try another stretch too and see if we get any other better results. Just out of curiosity, there's another stretch available that's kind of a newer thing. It's called statistical stretch. I'm just going to give it a shot. For we're going to call it stat S. I should remember that. Okay. So let's try the stat one first, and I'll tell you why. And I'll show you both. But if it works really well, it's really easy. So you go to script, and then it's SETI Astro. Look for SETI Astro. Again, it's with your repositories. These are free tools. This one's free, not the RC Astro. The SETI Astro tools are free. And they put, I want to check out this, what's in my image too, whatever that it means. The statistical stretch. And we will be coming back here for to stretch the stars. And there's also this automatic DBE. That's kind of interesting. I wonder what happens if you run that. Well, let's do what I know. So we're going to go here and we're going to go to statistical stretch. And then you're going to want to tell it to, well, you might not have to refresh the preview. Let's see, where is it at? Okay. There we go. Well, looky there. I mean, that's a pretty clean, even stretch without changing anything. What if we take this down to 0.10? Because it's saying right here, for distant objects, galaxies, or I don't know what PN, planet? I don't know what PN is. But, oh, then do preview refresh. Oh, baby. Look at that. That's flipping amazing. I'm going to keep that. Execute. Boom. With like one click. I'll show you why this is kind of fun compared to the other tool. All right, we executed it, right? So it should be a stretched image over here. All right, I think I did it to the wrong one, but instead of doing a bunch of extra stuff, we'll just do, no. This is the right one. Let's take the GHS out of the title. Huh. That's my bad. Okay. Gee whiz, man. I am really happy with the results from that. Cool. I didn't do that yesterday. I did the long form stretch. I'll do it for you though, so you know what. Just to see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. That was that one easy peasy stretch. Let's go here to script. Oh wait, go processes, intensity, transformations, generalized hyperbolic stretch. It's kind of more of a stretch. It used to, when you open it up, notice that this number here is at 1. The zoom is zoomed to a level of 1, and you can't see anything because that's our data right there in that little tiny strip. So we gotta zoom in. And if you just hit the plus sign, it jumps to 250. Sometimes that gets whacked out. This time it actually worked okay. So if you pick right here where the data starts on the front end, and then click this send to SP, which is the symmetry point where you're kind of stretching around it. Now, very important here to remember is this is another one where you need a real-time preview. But unlike the other operations we did earlier, it's not very intense, computationally intense. So we can get a better real-time feel while we're stretching. We sent that to SP. Again, you might consider hitting the reset button. I think everything was pretty much reset here to begin with. And let's go ahead and come down to the stretch factor and start pulling this to the right. Oh man. Honestly, I'm getting a better image from this than I was from the other one I did. That's amazing. It's amazing. Love it. Now, this is a what you would call like an iterative process. You can do it more than once. You don't have to just get your stretch all and get it perfect right away. What you kind of want to do maybe is you bring like everything out. Every image is different, but I see some details here, and we're starting to really gray up the background once we get to about right there. We're certainly not stretched enough, you know. So we're at about 4. I actually, in my workflow, I do a couple of stretches. So I might even get a little more gray, but what I really want is just to kind of see this detail here in the nebula. So I don't want to blow that out either. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. We're going to hit apply, and it's going to immediately blow this image out. And the reason why it does that is because it's, as I said before, it's kept the values here that you gave it and reapplied it after the stretched image to the image again. So you're getting like a double stretch, and it just blows the image out. So hit reset there, and you'll get zero out your values. You can come in here and let's zoom out. There's our data. And let's kind of push around in here. Again, since we're in a real-time preview, you gotta zoom in. So if I wanted these these darker blues way out there, honestly, I don't know why they're not within the image. Okay, well, what we're gonna do, we're still in the real-time preview. That's not changing anything. Yeah, you gotta do it in the image itself. I would think these would be all popping up in the middle. Something seems fishy to me. Yowza. Oops. Alright, nice. Graphics, BlurX. I got too many things I can't even tell. Alright, well, I want to stretch this part out a little. So I'm going to send that to the SP. I don't know why it's way off the thing, but here we are. You know, honestly, that's just blowing it out. And you can kind of change this symmetry point on the fly here to see what it's kind of changing. And I'm getting more of this like kind of really light nebulosity here on the edge with that stretch. So let's see what happens off and on. Off, on, off, on, off, on, on. I like it. It's giving me a little more intensity. I'm going to hit apply. And again, it's going to double down. I'm going to be okay with that. So let's close that up. I'll close this up. All right, here's our two nebulas. One was done with the one-click stretch, and one was done with GHS. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, I kind of like it how it is, but let's see what happens if we put what's called a curves transformation on this. We're going to go ahead and do this. Wait, this is instead. It feels like these are backwards. Undo the GHS. Yeah, see, that one changes. God knows, I named it wrong. Let's see if it, I thought it might do that. One of me rename the other one the same. GHS. And let's, you know, because I'm going to do color transformation. I'm going to take the S of this real quick. I'll change this one to stat S. I think I'm going to cut all this. And then we'll call this one GHS. You know, and for now, for this purposes, let's go ahead and just work on one. Because I basically do similar operations from here on out. But to get to this, you wouldn't need to. If you downloaded that statistical stretch, you didn't need to know anything about symmetry points or any of that stuff. You just run that sucker. So well, we basically got to a very similar result. And so I like to, at this point, maybe put a color transformation on there. And so let's dupe that and call it GHS with CT for color transformation. And we can minimize the old one so I don't get confused over here. All right, so then let's go up to processes, image intensity transformations, and curves transformation. Curves, I think I said color, but it is, we're working with the color values here. Now we can roll in and zoom, and again we need a real-time preview. And because we want to just focus on the nebula, let's go ahead and get closer to it. That's good. And here you kind of see where these parts of the images are lying. So what I want to do, I want to kind of beef up the nebula while toning down the black. And this again is a real iterative process, so you just can be real gentle with it. Just some gentle values, because you can really blow things out pretty quickly. Oh yeah. Yeah. And again, turn this off, on, off, on. Starting to bring out more detail. Let's go ahead and apply. Now my black's all around there, real black. Zoom back in on it. And let's reset the value, because it just basically hit it twice. Although I kind of liked what it was doing there. And bring that up. There we go. Hit apply. And then, honestly, I kind of like the automatic double down on it. I might, let's see if we take it off. It's a little more blown out. What if we reset the values and oops. My blacks are good. Something like that. Well, I'm gonna reset that. I don't like that. I think we're good. I think we're good. At some point, you know, you can mess around with this stuff as much as you want because it's your picture, so enjoy that. But at the end of the day, if you're happy with it, then it's good. Excuse me. So, next thing we got to do, now that we've stretched our image, our galaxy, let's go ahead, or our nebula, let's run BlurXterminator on this bad boy. It should be open. That jumps over there. But now we don't want to sharpen stars at all. And we want to sharpen the non-stellar quite a bit. So let's go ahead and remember you hit the real-time preview. And it's going to spin around. Holy moly. That did some weird, wild stuff. No blur, 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 no blur, blur. No blur, blur. That is intense. I'm just curious. I'm pulling those values just for the heck of it. That looks more realistic. More what we're looking for anyway. Go to the auto SPF. Determines the non-solar. Well, let's just take the level down and see if we correct it that way. See, it just makes it blobby. Let's take the automatic PSF off. Interesting. So for best accuracy, this should be set. Well, shoot. Let's give it an extreme value and see what happens. A lot of times when I don't know what a tool does, I give it an extreme value and then drag it over. Does that change anything? You change it here. Interesting. Let's take this non-stellar stretch up to 5. It's way less like weirdly blobby, right? If we do this, it's like this weird blobby thing. Oh, that's not bad at all. I don't know what was going on there then. Because you hit this auto, that gets ugly, right? Spin, 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 yeah. Take it off. Okay, now we're working with some normal. I want it sharpened, I just don't want it weird. Ooh, baby. And let's, if we change this dynamic, let's go in like 2 increments. Spin, spin, spin. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna take it up real high just to see what happens. Okay. I like 2 or thereabouts. Cool. So apply, and then we'll take a break because that's going to take a second. All right, it's done, and it took 35 seconds. Not too bad. Oh, so here's the thing. So see it spinning here again? So I didn't close the preview window like I told you to do. I'd often forget to do that, and now it's hanging me up because I didn't do that, and it's got to recalculate the BlurXterminator on top of it itself. I don't think there's any way out of it. You try to close this and it gives you, says don't do that. Maybe you can turn this off. Nope. You just gotta wait it out. So so basically another 35 seconds. And if you had a real slow computer, this would be, it'd be a pain. Because painful, you'd have to wait and make yourself a sandwich or something. So remember, turn off the real-time preview before you execute your BlurXterminator plugin. It's so annoying. Seems like longer than 35 seconds. I think when you're waiting, it's like that watched pot type scenario. Come on now. All right, I bet you I'm gonna pause this, and it's. All right, I'm back. Yeah, I paused it. Okay, remember, turn that off. Okay, here we are. Liking it. Pretty good. Nice. Noisy. So, we're going to do a final plugin. It's actually higher in the chain. Which is going to be NoiseXterminator by our same friends over there. And again, I'm going to call this, minimize this one. Sorry, I just thought a good way to do tutorials. Okay, well, let's zoom in a little. Liking it. And then let's hit, okay, we're going to call this, instead of clone, we'll call it noise X. And we'll go up to process, all processes, noise exterminator. And remember, reset to get sticky values to go away, and this is the default. Now we're going to want to real-time preview this again. Not noise exterminator is computational, but not nearly as much as BlurXterminator, so it shouldn't take as long. Also, everything is taking longer because I am using Camtasia to record this tutorial. Oh, looky there. Looky there. Let's zoom in. Well, first of all, we can look at it wide. It's probably difficult to see. But what's happening is there's a lot of noise in this black area, and it's going away when I just from this operation. So, but we really are mostly concerned with this guy in the middle, obviously. So let's zoom in on him. Because you don't want to use too much noise exterminator on your object because it'll blur it up. So, but let's take the detail up to 5. I wouldn't think that it would have wanted to compute that. Okay. So we got on, off, on. Look at how noisy that is. Off, on. It's a little tight right there. I don't know. It looks a little funky, so let's take it down to 0.25. There we go. That's a little better. On, off, on, off, on. I'm good. I'm good. So let's hit apply. And that one zips through. 5 seconds. Done. It's going to be 10 seconds because what did I do? What did I do? Left the real-time preview open and attached. So that's like doubling down on a noise exterminator. Take that off. Fully turn that down. All right, last part of the process is we are going to go to, we got to put our stars back in here. Where are they? Hopefully they're this one. Oh, that's not them. Let's hide that. Maybe up here. Is this them? Yes, I think so. We'll do the stretch just to make sure. Oh, nope. How about this one? There they are. Our gross weird stars. Okay. But this just blows your mind how many freaking stars there are. Just blows my mind. So we're going to go ahead and turn that off. And here's where we're going to do another. You could do a couple different stretches like anything. There's lots of different ways to do it. However, we're going to use this SETI Astro. I just love it. It gives you, it's like a one-click deal. I get great results. So we go, again, we go to Process, SETI Astro, our script, SETI Astro. And we're going to go to, they have a thing called Star Stretch. Boom. That's going to open this up. And at first I didn't know what I was doing here. And that just filled the screen, didn't it? Just because of the settings I have. And I think we're going to be stuck there. But it's going to be good because you'll be able to see it. I was like, where is everything? I don't know. You just got to execute it. Why can't show the preview? You got to click show the preview. Now it doesn't want to stretch the whole thing. Okay, and then let's change that zoom more to like 1:1 so you guys can see what's going on. You guys at home. We got a pretty dense star field here, but it looks way better than whatever was happening with the SCF after the Star Exterminator. But our nebula is going to be hiding in the middle of this guy, right? So these are the default values. It tells you up here what they should be. So there's no reset on some of these plugins. I don't really see any green in there, but let's hit that and see what happens, and then hit refresh preview. And what that did was it took the green out of that star up there for sure. Okay, I like the color boost. So, but we want to tone these stars down to kind of match what we were doing with the dual band filter. So let's just take the stretch down and let's start. Again, I like to start with extreme values. So let's take it all the way to 1. Refresh the preview. Well, that's extreme, baby. That is extreme. A little too extreme. So let's have that 5. Let's go to 2.5. Hit refresh preview. Okay, now we're talking. Now we're starting to talk. But I still think we could have. I like stars, and I got some really nice colors here and color variation. So let's take it to 3. Now let's try 3.5. Refresh. Okay. That's going to be definitely more dense than the dual band image, but we have an opportunity to kind of subdue that later. And let's just see what happens if we color boost this to 2 and hit the refresh. Again, using extreme value just to see a difference in your image. And I got to tell you, I don't know. It's nothing drastic that I'm seeing here. I'm bringing it back to 1. I think these were a little bit more red popping down there. I don't notice much difference there. All right, so then let's just hit execute. Pow. It's done. Beautiful. Look at that. You can do an arc sine stretch on it. That would also work. But this is a really nice statistical stretch. So it used to be that you had to use, I don't know, pixel math to put these 2 images back together, right? And then you wouldn't get any kind of feedback, preview, or anything. I did this for months and months and months, and many images. But then I found, another tip and trick. An awesome way to do this is you go into, not RC Astro, just in the toolbox. And you have to download this stuff separate, I believe, and you put it into your, they're from PixInsight, this toolbox, this particular thing, combine images, I believe. But you can go combine images here. And now I have a real-time preview of what's happening. We've got our image 1, the Dumbell, and let's go here and we'll find the one that's called stars. And then it's going to pop them in there. Flipping amazing. I love it. I mean, just like that. Just like that. So you could take down image 1 or 2, image 2 being our stars. So if we really wanted to pull the stars back, you could effectively do that by just reducing that value. And then to compensate for that, you might pop the vibrance up. So they don't look washed out, but they do look less light. But honestly, I think in this particular image, I was happy with the stars. And I don't mind the vibrance. So I think that looks good. I think that looks good. We're stretched, we're done. We're gonna hit the green check on this guy. Here we go. So here's our final image. No filter, and here it is from the camera with the dual band filter. And I'll open the one that I created. That's straight off the camera. not fair way to zoom in. Oh man, that's really looking good. Like it a lot. So then what we'll do, the last little part of this, just to show you, well, I'll come out, I'll put that at the very end. Anyway, this Brett was started. What I'm going to do is I'll show you the image I created. I guess we can open it. If I can find it real quick. I want to say it was a couple days ago. Yeah. So I didn't want to do this because I'm not exactly sure where I stuck it. I just don't know what day it was. I think it's this day actually. Nope. 8/5. Oh, that's V1. Okay. It was my most recent. And we've had a couple of cloudy nights. Let's see. So I've got the unprocessed sign. I've got. Okay, so it would be this one. This is my final. Final. I don't know. I like them both. Anyway. I kind of like the one without the filter. It's weird that it made it this blue. That was definitely after SPCC, and I didn't do a ton of that. But, you know, I'm liking this one even better. So, judge for yourself. What you're going to get when you use a dual band filter, bottom line is the image coming straight off your scope is going to be a more usable image. It's going to subdue the stars and enhance your nebula. But if you have some skills from actually watching this video, you can recreate the results and save yourself the $400 and spend that on PixInsight license and some RC Astro tools. Save your money. Anyway, it's been Brett from RC. This has been Brett from Sky Dad Astronomy. Happy stargazing, or nebula gazing in this case.